So have you ever wondered what's the difference between the top 1%, the top 10%, and everybody else in the real estate industry and in sales in general? It's always going to come down to who can be the most disciplined to the habits that get them the results that they're chasing. When I first got into real estate, I shadowed a ton of realtors that were top producers, and I got 3 coaches out the gate. And you know what they all told me? It was the habits. Can you follow the habits that we're going to show you and compound that over time? So really, the real estate industry is, can you identify which habits are going to get you the results that you seek? One of the early mentors that I had in real estate signed 7 listings his second day of me shadowing him. And guess what? I thought he was going to take a vacation and I would never see him again. Well, he was back the next day at 7:30 to role play. How crazy is that? But that's a habit. That's a disciplined routine that he had instilled, and that was allowing him to sell over 150 homes a year. The hard part, though, is how do you keep a habit? How do you develop a habit? How do you actually stay disciplined to that habit? So we could go off on a whole other topic on what habits, but today we're going to talk about how to develop and maintain habits. Last week we had an episode with all the realtors all over the United States that came into my mastermind in St. George, Utah. And we had guest speakers on ads, YouTube, prospecting door to door. We even sold window cleaning services door to door. And it was really interesting to see who woke up early, who went to the gym, who did their morning routine, who had a nightly routine, even at a mastermind on quote unquote vacation, could maintain the habit. So if you're going to watch this and you're struggling with habits, routines, being disciplined to them, then this is the perfect episode for you. We're going to break it all down. If you watched last week's episode, you saw that I interviewed quite a few realtors that were there that I've worked with, and a lot of them producing at a high level, or the new realtors that just got their license. The main thing that they mentioned was the importance of developing habits and being disciplined to them. So, just like Tony Robbins always talks about, life is all about pattern recognition. Real estate's the same. Can you recognize what patterns, what habits, what disciplines do I need? And then can you develop the strength, the endurance, and the discipline to maintain those habits over time? There's a great quote by Aristotle, one of my favorite that I keep in my phone. It says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but it's a habit." So we're going to go over all my favorite books that I'd recommend reading. If this is something you struggle with, this is going to be the episode that you're going to want to save. So drop a comment below. There's an ebook that I've created to help you go develop what's taught in here and what we talk about today so that you can get better at your habits. All right, so let's jump into this. So out of all these books that I could recommend, this is the one that we're going to focus on, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Why? Because this is probably the most recommended book I give out. I've given out over 100 copies to this to realtors and salespeople that I work with. It's just a staple for a foundation of developing a business plan, mission statement, learning how to be proactive, take care of yourself, begin with the end in mind. But it gives one of the best master classes on how to develop habits, because you can't instill the habits if you don't know how to create and maintain and be disciplined to a habit. So if you have this book, grab it as we go through this episode. I'm going to break down the diagram that he gives in regards to building habits. There's 3 things that you have to understand in order to go be consistent and maintain over time, like compound interest, the habits that will help you become a top producer in your industry. All right, so grab a notepad. We're going to jot this down. I'm going to have my team put it up on the screen. So here's the diagram. There's 3 circles. There's 3 parts of developing habits that if you can get really good at, like I said, you'll easily become one of the top producers in your industry because you're getting so good at this. So there's 3 circles. So you're going to draw it like this, and in the middle it says habits. The first part at the top is going to be knowledge, the what to do, the why to do it. So, like I was saying in real estate, it's a massive game of pattern recognition. So what habits do I need to instill? You have to understand that to then go have the habit, to be disciplined to it, to get the results you want. So let's talk about the knowledge. What habits do you need to go instill? Well, if you want an ebook on this, comment habits down below and why you want this, and I'll send you a free ebook on this. But let's break it down regardless. The first habit that you need is a morning routine. Most realtors struggle with emotional regulation. Bombs go off in their business. I just had a realtor that I work with that the closing got pushed back a week because the funds weren't being wired properly to title and all this stuff was going on. And she had to learn how to regulate her emotions. So you have to have a morning routine that'll allow you to be disciplined, focused, calm, and also be intentional throughout the day. Then you need a nightly routine. You need to be able to do the same thing, but at night. You got to audit the day, forecast tomorrow, and calm yourself down. I have an incredible ebook on that you're going to want to get. It's on morning routine and nightly routine. In the comments below, comment discipline and why you want both of those, and I'll get those out to you as well. What other habits do you need? Well, you need to role play twice a day. This is a skill-based industry. If you're not role playing twice a day, your competition is, and trust me, they're going to take business from you. And that's probably why you're not on pace to do 25 deals this year. What else? Well, you need to read. You got to keep your education ahead of your paycheck. You got to keep your learning ahead of your earning. Real estate is basically who can find the information, apply it, and execute it. So go read the books. Success leaves clues. They're in these books. If you've watched my channel for a long time, I recommend books left and right. You should be able to know exactly where to go get the information you need. So you should be reading 45 minutes to an hour a day. What other habits should you have? You should be prospecting in front of clients, FSBO expireds, open houses, door knocking, working with investors, your database follow-up for 4 hours a day. 85% of your day should be on money-making activities. You have an outbound prospecting, you have database, and you have follow-up. Those are the three things that you should be doing every single day. So those are the habits. That's the what to do as a realtor. That's how you go become a top producer. So now in regards to the habit diagram, you have the top part, you have the knowledge, you understand what you need to do on a daily basis. And the last habit I throw in there would be weekly planning. If you followed my stuff for a long time, you know I'm a massive believer in weekly planning. Casey Baugh, a mentor of mine, talks about this on one of his episodes in his podcast Case Studies, and he breaks down how to have an effective weekly planning. If you follow me on Instagram at Davis Sales Training, I post about this every Sunday, and I give away this ebook. I've probably given it away over 1,000 times in the last year and a half. If you don't have it, comment weekly planning below, and I'll make sure I get that to you as well. All right, so if you look at the diagram, the next part is going to be desire. You have to actually want to do the thing. Most of the time we focus so much on implementing the habit, on trying to be consistent, brute forcing our way through it, and that's great. Alex Hormozi talks about this all the time, on just discipline yourself to brute force your way to the goal and not stopping until you get there. I get it. And there's been times where I've done that as well. But you also have to actually have the desire to go accomplish what you're going to get in order to stay disciplined to the habits that will get you there. If you don't have a desire, if you don't actually want to do it, then you're not going to get there. And it's going to be a brutal grind in order for you to be consistent over time. I get asked all the time about this topic. And I always tell people, look, consistency is king. I don't care how you do it, but you got to find a way to be consistent. And the easiest way to be consistent is to actually want the outcome. I always tell people, your outward actions are a reflection of the inner desires of your hearts. So if you're not being consistent to the disciplines and the habits that we just talked about, then in your heart, you just don't want it. To be honest, the bigger the why, the easier the how. If you're struggling with this how, it's really the why. It's not clear enough. You're not connected to it emotionally. That's something I learned from my mentor, Casey Baugh and Jeff Mendez over time. Jeff Mendez talks about this all the time. If you follow him on Instagram or you follow his podcast, that it's so important you attach to that why, because the how will become so easy. So again, do you think you have the desire? Are you not sure? Well, look at your consistency to those habits that I mentioned. If you're not consistent, then you don't have the desire. You need to reconnect that. If you're struggling with a vision board of really emotionally attaching to your what and your how, then comment vision board down below and why you want that. That's another ebook that I can give you for free to help you go have that desire to emotionally connect to what you're doing. If you do that, I promise you it'll be easier to keep that habit. All right, so now let's go to the third and final piece of the diagram. So if you look up at the screen, the last one is the skills. Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. He says in order to master something, you have to get good at three things. You have to understand it cognitively. You have to emotionally connect to it, the desire, which is what we just talked about. But then you got to have the skills. You got to actually know how to do the thing in order to get the thing that you want. And so what is that in real estate? Well, you got to have the skills to be able to talk to people. You need to be good at public speaking. You need to be good at communication. You need to be good at presenting your idea. Go follow people like Vin or Jeremy Miner or Brian Tracy or John Maxwell. All those people are going to help you get better at the skill side of things. Also, I run a role play. It's twice a day. We skill practice and we go over all of our scripts and how to engage with people over and over and over and over again. When you get good at that, you'll develop the habit of coming twice a day because you're confident in your skill set, and that'll allow you to get what you want. Also, if you're not that good at a morning routine, then go get the skill. Go follow people that have incredible morning routines. Go follow Tony Robbins or Les Brown or Ed Milet or Lewis Howes or Darren Hardy or Casey Baugh or myself. You're going to see common patterns. And once you get good at knowing how to do a morning routine or a nightly routine, it's easier because you know the ins and outs. The clearer it is, the more clarity you have, the easier it is to do. Complexity is the biggest killer to any entrepreneur because the simpler it is, the more your subconscious can get behind you and actually go and chase that habit. So invest in the skills. Go get around people. Go get around mentors. Take them to lunch and learn the basic how-tos, the skills of the habit that you're trying to acquire. Become world class. Shamelessly copy those that are really good at it. And because they're good at it, they're going to want to share it with you. Recently at our mastermind, I sat in the morning with one of the realtors that's on my team. He's 19 years old. And I showed him together how to do a morning routine. We had the music on, we had the book out, we had a timer on. And after, he was like, wow, I never realized the small things that go into helping a morning routine be successful. That's the skills. It's the skills of that habit that allow that habit to become easier. And if it's easier, you can be consistent at it. If you're consistent at it, you'll see results. So hopefully that diagram, breaking it down to 3 parts, helps it be easier for you to go put more habits into your schedule. Because remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, according to Aristotle, we are our habits. So go get really good at these. Go pick up books like The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy and learn about compound interest and momentum. Go pick up this book by Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, and really learn deeper on a psychology-based level how habits are created. Go master the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, and then finish with start with why. Because remember, you have to have that desire and passion part to really hone in on that habit. All right, so let's wrap up this episode. Take your notes out. What are your main takeaways? If you're struggling with discipline and consistency, then it might just be that you don't know how to keep or create a habit. And so today we talked about 3 different things that if you get really good at, then the habits you have every day will become easier. The difference between the top performers and those that are really struggling, it's just the application of habits. I've got so many realtors I'm working with or that I've coached in the past that are crushing it. A lot of you watching these episodes, 149 of you actually right now in the last 12 months have gotten a free deal because of the content you've watched here, and you've instilled the habits that are allowing you to grow your business. So go back through your notes, make a checklist of how you can get better, more disciplined and sharper at the habits that I mentioned, and watch your business completely take off. Hang tight for next week. That's going to be an incredible episode where we break down how to go and chase your dreams now that you have the habits in place.